So I'm going to read a little bit from this book. It says The Wisdom of the Native Americans by Kent Nurburn. I have a tab here. Okay, so I was on part 3, the ways of learning. So it says, knowledge was inherent in all things. The world was a library. Chief Luther standing bare. Oklalasu. Look at me. I am poor and naked, but I am the chief of the nation. We do not want riches, but we do want to train our children right. Riches would do us no good. We cannot take them with us to the other world. We do not want riches. We want peace and love. Red Cloud, Sue. You who are so wise must know that different nations have different conceptions of things. You will not therefore take it amiss if our ideas of the white man's kind of education happens not to be the same as yours. We have had some experience of it. Several of our young people were brought up in your colleges. They were instructed in all your sciences, but when they came back to us, they were bad runners, ignorant of every means of living in the woods, unable to bear either cold or hunger. They didn't know how to build a cabin, take a deer, or kill an enemy. They spoke our language imperfectly. They were therefore unfit to be hunters, warriors, or counselors. They were good for nothing. We are, however, not the less obliged for your kind offer, though we decline accepting it, to show our gratefulness. If the gentlemen of Virginia shall send us a dozen of their sons, we will take great care with their education, instruct them in all we know, and make men of them. Canasatego, Treaty of Lancaster. Children were taught that true politeness was to be defined in actions rather than in words. They were never allowed to pass between the fire and an older person or a visitor, to speak while others were speaking, or to make fun of a crippled or disfigured person. If a child thoughtlessly tried to do so, a parent in a quiet voice immediately set him right. Expressions such as "excuse me," "pardon me," and "so sorry," now so often lightly and unnecessarily used, are not in the Lakota language. If one chanced to injure or cause inconvenience to another, the word "wanunhekun," or mistake, was spoken. This was sufficient to indicate that no discourtesy was intended, and that what had happened was accidental. Our young people, raised under the old rules of courtesy, never indulged in the present habit of talking incessantly, and all at the same time. To do so would have been not only impolite but foolish, for poise, so much admired as a social grace, could not be accompanied by restlessness. Pauses were acknowledged gracefully, and did not cause lack of ease or embarrassment. In talking to children, the old Lakota would place a hand on the ground and explain, "We sit in the lap of our mother. From her we and all other living things come. We shall soon pass, but the place where we now rest will last forever." So we too learned to sit or lie on the ground and become conscious of life about us in its multitude of forms. Sometimes we boys would sit motionless and watch the swallows, the tiny ants, or perhaps some small animal at its work and ponder its industry and ingenuity. Or we lay on our backs and looked long at the sky, and when the stars came out, made shapes from various groups. Everything was possessed of personality, only differing from us in form. Knowledge was inherent in all things. The world was a library, and its books were the stones, leaves, grass, brooks, and all the birds and animals that shared alike with us the storms and blessings of earth. We learned to do what only the student of nature ever learns, and that was to feel beauty. We never railed at the storms, the furious winds, and the biting frosts and snows. To do so intensified human futility, so whatever came, we adjusted ourselves by more effort and energy if necessary, but without complaint. Even the lightning did us no harm, for whenever it came too close, mothers and grandmothers in every teepee cut cedar leaves on the coals, and their magic kept danger away. Bright days and dark days were both expressions of the great mystery, and the Indian revelled in being close to the great holiness. Observation was certain to have its rewards. Interest, wonder, admiration grew, and the fact was appreciated that life was more than mere human manifestation. It was expressed in a multitude of forms. This appreciation enriched Lakota existence. Life was vivid and pulsing. Nothing was casual and commonplace. The Indian lived in every sense of the word, from his first to his last breath. Chief Luther Standing Bear. Tetonsu. What boy would not be an Indian for a while when he thinks of the freest life in the world? We were close students of nature. We studied the habits of animals just as you study your books. We watched the men of our people and acted like them in our play, then learned to emulate them in our lives. Let me get some tea. Oh wait, it's not tea, it's coffee. Forgot I got coffee. I usually have tea. No people have better use of their five senses than the children of the wilderness. We could smell as well as hear and see. We could feel and taste as well as we could see and hear. Nowhere has the memory been more fully developed than in the wildlife. As a little child, it was instilled into me to be silent and reticent. This was one of the most important traits to form in the character of the Indian. As a hunter and a warrior, it was considered absolutely necessary to him, and was thought to lay the foundations of patience and self-control. There are times when boisterous mirth is indulged in by our people, but the rule is gravity and decorum. I wish to be a brave man as much as a white boy desires to be a great lawyer, or even President of the United States. I was made to respect the adults, especially the aged. I was not allowed to join in their discussions, or even to speak in their presence unless requested to do so. Indian etiquette was very strict, and among the requirements was that of avoiding direct address. A term of relationship or some title of courtesy was commonly used instead of the personal name by those who you wished to show respect. We were taught generosity to the poor and reverence for the great mystery. Religion was the basis of all Indian training. Charles Alexander Eastman, Ohiesa Sente Su. We send our little Indian boys and girls to school, and when they come back talking English, they come back swearing. There's no swear word in the Indian languages, and I haven't yet learned to swear. Gertrude S. Bonin, Zitkala Sa, Yankton Su. And this is part 4, the ways of living. It's good coffee. Our fathers gave us many laws, which they had learned from their fathers. These laws were good. Chief Joseph Nespress. Praise, flattery, exaggerated manners, and fine, high-sounding words were no part of Lakota politeness. Excessive manners were put down as insincere, and the constant talker was considered rude and thoughtless. Conversation was never begun at once, or in a hurried manner. No one was quick with a question, no matter how important, and no one was pressed for an answer. A pause giving time for thought was the truly courteous way of beginning and conducting a conversation. Chief Luther standing bare, Tetanasu. This is a happy season of the year, having plenty of provisions such as beans, squashes, and other produce, with our dried meat and fish. We continue to make feasts and visit each other until our corn is ripe. At least one of the lodges in the village makes a feast daily for the Great Spirit. I cannot explain this so that the white people will comprehend me, because we have no regular standard among us. Everyone makes his feast as he thinks best, to please the Great Spirit, who has the care of all beings created. Black Hawk. Sock? Is that how to say it? Sock? When you begin a great work, you can't expect to finish it all at once. Therefore do you and your brothers press on, and let nothing discourage you until you have entirely finished what you have begun. Now, brother, as for me, I assure you, I will press on, and the contrary winds may blow strong in my face. Yet I will go forward and never turn back, and continue to press forward until I have finished, and I would have you do the same. Though you may hear birds singing on this side and that side, you must not take notice of that, but hear me when I speak to you, and take it to heart, for you may always depend that what I say shall be true. Tidiuscung, Delaware. My young men shall never farm. Men who work the soil cannot dream, and wisdom comes to us in dreams. Wowoka Payute? If you ever get married, my son, do not make an idol of your wife. The more you worship her, the more she will want to be worshipped. My son, this also I will tell you. Women should never be watched too closely. If you try to watch them, you will merely show your jealousy and become so jealous of your wife that she will leave you and run away. You yourself will be to blame for this. Anonymous, Winnebago. During the first year, a newly married couple discovers whether they can agree with each other and can be happy. If not, they part and look for other partners. If they were to live together and disagree, we should be as foolish as the whites. No indiscretion can banish a woman from her parental lodge. It makes no difference how many children she may bring home. She is always welcome. The kettle is over the fire to feed them. Black Hawk. Silk. Grandfather says that when your friends die, you must not cry. You must not hurt anybody or do harm to anyone. You must not fight. Do right always. It will give you satisfaction in life. Wavoka. Pait. We are all poor because we are all honest. Red Dog. Oglalasu. Part 5. The ways of leading others. No person among us desires any other reward for performing a brave and worthy action, but the consciousness of having served his nation. Joseph Brandt. Tayendanega Natanene. Tayendanegia Mohawk. I'm so sorry, I'm illiterate. Something is wrong with the white man's council. When the Micmac people used to have council, the old men would speak and tell the young men what to do. And the young men would listen and do what the old men told them to. The white men have changed that too. Now the young men speak and the old men listen. I believe the Micmac council was far better. Peter Paul, 1865. Why should you take by force from us that which you can obtain by love? Why should you destroy us who have provided you with food? What can you get by war? It is better to eat good meat, be well, and sleep quietly with my women and children, to laugh and be merry with the English, and be their friend, to have copper hatchets and whatever else I want. King Wahun Sonnakuk Powhatan. We now crown you with the sacred emblem of the deer's antlers, the emblem of your lordship. You shall now become a mentor of the people of the 5 nations. The thickness of your skin shall be 7 spans, which is to say that you shall be filled with peace and goodwill, and your mind filled with a yearning for the welfare of the people of the Confederacy. With endless patience you shall carry out your duty, and your firmness shall be tempered with tenderness for your people. Neither anger nor fury shall lodge in your mind, and all your words and actions shall be marked with calm deliberation. In all your deliberations in the council, in your efforts at lawmaking, in all your official acts, self-interest shall be cast into oblivion. Cast not away the warnings of any others, if they should chide you for any error or wrong you may do, but return to the way of the great law, which is just and right. Look and listen for the welfare of the whole people, and have always in view not only the present, but also the coming generations, even those whose faces are yet beneath the surface of the earth, the unborn of the future nation. Constitution of the 5 nations. The Onondaga Iroquois lords shall open each council by greeting their cousin lords and expressing their gratitude to them, and they shall offer thanks to the earth where all people dwell, to the streams of water, the pools, the springs, the lakes, to the maize and the fruits, to the medicinal herbs and the trees, to the forest trees for their usefulness, to the animals that serve as food, and to offer their pelts as clothing, to the great winds and the lesser winds, to the thunderers and the sun, the mighty warrior, to the moon, to the messengers of the Great Spirit who dwells in the skies above, who gives all things useful to men, who is the source and the ruler of health and life. Then shall the Onondaga lords declare the council open. Iroquois Constitution. Should any man of the nation assist with special ability or show interest in the affairs of the nation, if he proves himself wise, honest, and worthy of confidence, the Confederate lords may elect him to a seat with them, and he may sit in the Confederate Council. He shall be proclaimed a pine tree sprung up for the nation, and be installed as such at the next assembly for the installation of lords. Should he ever do anything contrary to the rules of the Great Peace, he may not be deposed from office. No one shall cut him down. But therefore everyone shall be deaf to his voice and his advice. Should he resign his seat and title, no one shall prevent him. A pine tree chief has no authority to name a successor, nor is his title hereditary. Constitution of the 5 nations. Try to do something for your people, something difficult. Have pity on your people and love them. If a man is poor, help him. Give him and his family food. Give them whatever they ask for. If there is discord among your people, intercede. Take your sacred pipe and walk in their midst. Die if necessary in your attempt to bring about reconciliation. And when the order has been restored, and they see you lying dead on the ground, still holding in your hand the sacred pipe, the symbol of peace and reconciliation, then assuredly will they know that you have been a real chief. Winnebago lesson. No person among us desires any other reward for performing a brave and worthy action, but the consciousness of having served his nation. Joseph Brent, Diane Danegea, Mohawk. I think I'll stop here. There's 3 sections, I think, right? Yeah. So, I don't think this one, that's not even sticking to the tip. I need a new one. So, I'll start there next time in part 6. So that was a little bit from this book, Wisdom of the Native Americans, compiled and edited by Kent Nurburn. So yeah, thank you for watching my videos. Sorry that I'm illiterate. I'm so sorry. But yeah, hope it helped you fall asleep a little bit.